Dawson County Board of Commissioners voting session. Today is Tuesday, July 2nd, 2019. We do appreciate your attendance. Before we get into the business at hand, I need a motion to come out of executive session.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Nix. Can you turn that down, Mr. Head? How's that? That better? Good. All right. Motion by Commissioner Nix, seconded by Commissioner Fawcett. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that's approved 4-0 to come out of executive session. Now we'll get into our regular meeting. We'll start out with a roll call. Oh, that didn't work. I'm actually start over. It's not your fault.
We need to press it again.
Yeah, second.
I hope that we start late. I'm just kidding.
Try again.
All right.
Let's see if we get it done. All right. And as you can see, we're all here. Ask you please stand for brief invocation and pledge. Let's pray. Dear Lord, we thank you for this another wonderful day and the many blessings of life. We ask for knowledge and wisdom to carry out the business of this county. Lord, anything that we accomplish, we'll give you the honor and glory for it all. In Christ's name we do ask and pray. Amen. Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You can be seated. Are there any announcements? Announcements. The only one I would tell you, and most of you already know this, is that the government, for the most part, will be closed on Thursday, which is the 4th of July. That doesn't apply to y'all. Y'all have to work. Any other announcements? Next up, we have approval of the minutes. First, we have the minutes of the work session held on June 20th, 2019. Any additions or deletions? Motion.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Motion by Commissioner Gaines.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Satterfield. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that's approved 4-0. Next up, we have the minutes of the voting session held on June 20th, 2019. Any additions or deletions? Motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Fawcett.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Nix. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that's approved 4-0. Next up, we have approved the agenda. Do have one addition to the agenda. We're adding the FY 2020 Department of Human Services, Deanna Specialty Transportation Incorporated grant, and that will be item number 8 under new business. So I entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda with that one addition.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Nix,
Second.
second by Commissioner Gaines. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that's approved 4-0. We do have one person who signed up for public comment in this section, Lance. There you go. I wasn't going to butcher that, so I'll let you tell.
Good evening. Thank you all for allowing me to speak this evening. I come to you tonight with a concern for my safety, my family's safety, your safety, and the rest of the citizens of Dawson County. For years, which has finally come to a head, we all understand the pay issue for the firefighters. As I've been doing some research and looking at things like that, I have not seen a pay raise for the firefighters in 10 years. You are facing 11 vacancies, one, which is a SAFER grant, and if that doesn't get filled, you'll ultimately end up spending more than what you should to fill that. You'll have to pay back money on that. The county is growing continuously. We're not going to stop that. We have to be proactive. This is a problem that has been coming together for years. There's numerous days that the Department for the Public Safety of Dawson County calls for requests for assistance. Daily operation, even at med unit levels, at fires, You're staffing a 14 is short from the 16 that should be on scene to properly run a fire. I'm asking that you approve the raises for these firefighters, not only these, but the futures that you bring in. I understand that there's been some moving for immediate funds to give them the position so it's available in the budget, but the funding needs to be continued. The growth on the 400 corridor requires more than what your staffing has in the fire station at this current time. This also brings up the key aspect of how are we going to pay for this. I'm going to get to that in just a minute. But I want you to understand, at 16 firefighters, that takes every person on the job to work a single-family dwelling fire at under 2,500 square feet. That means nobody else is available if they're all committed to that fire. You all depend on a ladder truck coming out of Forsyth County at a 20 to 25 minute response, yet you don't carry anything over a 24-foot ladder. This is a grave concern to the citizens when it comes down to jobs and abilities that have to be performed on a fire scene. I'll be glad to go into the number, how I got that at 16 if you would like, but it's basically the different fire attacks, the backup support, the search and rescue people, the RIT people, the incident command system, your med units, which should not be counted as fire personnel. They have a strict job there to protect and be there if a firefighter gets hurt. With that, I'm asking for you to up your staffing to 3 members on every engine. Just continue counting your med unit staffing as part of your ISO rating, which is not right. They aren't here, they are transporting calls out of county with an hour to 2 hour run time to return back to county. You're taking almost half of what you have on staff every day, putting them on med units, and like today, they were all gone out of this county. That is not acceptable for the safety and the safety of my family. You owe to these men and women, not only here, also on the Sheriff's Department as I understand, to pay them comparable. I'm not asking you to make them millionaires. I'm asking you to hold the firefighters here that you have before we lose enough that we don't have enough to staff the current engines and the situation at hand. If there is a departure of 6 to 8 more, you have lost almost half your staffing that you paid for. That is unacceptable. You have to step up and support this entity and the Sheriff's Department and the needs of Dawson County so that you can provide what you took oath to make the best decision possible. The decisions are there, they're tough ones to make, I understand. I'm looking at it this way. If our ISO rating goes up and I have to pay $1,000 more on my insurance, I'm giving it to an insurance company. If you implement a fire tax or a millage rate, and I pay $200 more a year, I get 5 years for my money on $1,000. I get the safety, and I'm actually going to ask you right now, I value my life more than $200 a year. I ask that you value yours and take it into consideration when you determine what you should be paying and the supply and services you should be giving to the citizens of this county. You're falling short when it comes to it. This is a problem that's gone on for numerous years. It needs a verdict. It hasn't happened in the last month. It's been going on for administrations prior to this one, on both the fire and also on the commission. I'm asking for you, I'm begging for you to please keep my family safe, keep your family safe. Put a dollar figure on your life and figure out what it is for your family to live here safely. I thank you very much for your time, and I hope you make the right decision to support your local fire department and sheriff's department.
Thank you. All right, next up, we have alcohol license. This is a license transfer, retail consumption on premises of beer and wine. Point Bluff LLC doing business as Crave Hot Dogs. James.
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners. This alcohol license transfer is pretty straightforward. It's coming from Black Rock Food Services, which is being purchased by Point Bluff. There was nothing to report on the background, and there was no red flags brought up in the application. The application is complete and is being presented to you tonight.
Questions for James?
The stipulations we put on the last approval of this with the wall, none of that changed, correct?
That has been complete. There's going to be no interior remodeling done.
But that wall's there and operational.
Yes, sir.
Other questions? Thanks, sir. Pleasure of the board.
Make a motion to approve the transfer.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Satterfield,
Second.
second by Commissioner Fawcett. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that's approved 4-0. Next, we'll move on to new business. First up, consideration of special event business license application, Carroll Springs Amusements, Inc. Carnival. That was setting up in the North Georgia Premium Outlet Mall parking lot. Any other information needed? Jameson presented that. Motions.
Make a motion to approve the special event business license application.
Motion by Commissioner Gaines,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Fawcett. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that's approved 4-0. Next up, we have consideration of special event business license application, North Georgia Premium Outlet Food Truck Event. This also is at the North Georgia Premium Outlets Food Truck Event. That was presented by Jameson as well a couple of weeks ago. Any other information needed?
Do we know the start date for that?
That's it. That will start this Friday, actually.
Yes.
And it will, and just to add on top of that, we made sure that there was no conflicting dates with the city's food truck event. That way there was no competition there.
And how long they running?
1 year.
Did we find out, I think I had a question about, was the sales tax collected, did it get allocated back to Dawson County? Did anybody figure that out?
I didn't get a definitive answer yet on that, but I definitely will continue to
Yeah,
pursue that.
keep driving down on that, I want to see. I think it does, I think they have to allocate it back to the county where it was collected.
Other questions for James? Thank you. Motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Fawcett,
Second.
second by Commissioner Satterfield. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. That's approved 4-0. Next up, we have consideration special event business license application, Papa Pat's Corn Maze. Jameson, I think there was
Yes.
new information there.
Yes, upon further light of this application, we realized that the applicant needs to go before a rezoning process to rezone back to residential agriculture in order to have a corn maze on the property. The applicant is willing to do that. We've already had discussions today and started the application process. And so they're requesting now that you consider this conditional based on the rezoning approval, if it so pleases the board.
Questions for James? Thank you, sir. Motion.
Motion to approve.
Contingent on the
Yes.
rezoning
Yes.
back to RA. So that would be a stipulation.
Yes.
Okay. Motion with stipulation that it be rezoned back to RA. Commissioner Fawcett, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Satterfield. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. That's approved 4-0 with the stipulation. Next up, consideration of emergency services pay compensation proposal. Chief Thompson brought that to you 2 weeks ago. It also had 3 options to improve the pay in an effort to stop the bleeding in his department. Currently has 11 vacancies. I think we did some research financially to determine that, to do that within his budget. There's some talk about freezing some of those positions to make that happen, and I think that was acceptable to Chief Thompson at that particular time. So, any other information needed? Motions?
I'll make a motion to approve option B.
And option B was 5%.
10% for paramedics, 5% for EMTs,
Okay, and that was with
with,
raising of
five
Five
positions. It leaves you 6 of the paramedics to fill this time.
I have a motion from Commissioner Satterfield. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gaines. Discussion.
Now, is this just to the end of the year? Are we gonna
We'll
do any
address
kind
all
of
of this.
revaluation?
We'll address all of this in the budget process and
So,
along with the next item on the agenda.
I guess I'll just note that the freezing of the positions is in order to let us get our feet underneath us with the way the budget's gonna look. We don't know what our revenue looks like. We've already seen a digest that's coming in under what we anticipated. So I think the ultimate goal would be to fill those positions. We just gotta have a checkpoint in order to make sure we get through the budget process and see if we can fill that for next year. But we're addressing the most critical concern based on what the chief has presented us. So I like that option.
That's to keep the people that he already has. We don't want to lose any more.
And fill those 6
Fill those
positions.
6 positions that, hopefully he can do that between now and the end of the year.
and this effective date is,
I would propose it to be the first payday of this month. That's first full payday of this month. If
You
that,
wanna amend the motion?
In the motion,
yeah,
first payment,
Add that to the
first
motion.
payday of this month.
okay,
And I
can
guess
they
my-
get it done, finances,
first full payday of this month?
can you get it done?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, and the pay period started on June 29th, so
Okay.
I'd like to start it with that date of June 29th for this pay period.
Okay.
My final comment is just thank you, Chief, for bringing us something that is I used the word earlier, surgical approach to trying to address the most. I think you understand that our balancing act that we have to have, and bringing us something that is, it's a struggle, but it's palatable, and we're going to do what we can to make it work. And thank you for working with us with something that's reasonable, and we hope that we can continue to support you guys, every single one of you, guys and ladies, any way that we absolutely can. So, thank you.
All right. We have a motion and a second. And that's the option B, 5% for firefighter EMT, 10% firefighter paramedic. That was amended to go to this first pay period in July. And that began on June the 29th, the beginning of that. Okay, so we will address the amendment first. All in favor of the amendment being the first pay period beginning on June 29th? We did have a second on that, correct? Did we have a second? You second that? Okay, so we have first and second. And so all in favor of the amendment to the motion, please vote, or vote, period. Don't have to be in favor of it again. That's approved. 4-0. We'll go back to the original motion, which was the option B. Any other discussion on that? Hearing none, please vote. And that's approved as well, 4-0. All right. Next up, consideration of RFP 34319 salary study for Dawson County award request. If you remember, that was presented at our last meeting. That was going to be in 2 phases. Public safety would be part A, and then everybody else would be part B. I think that was in the neighborhood of $32,500. Any other information needed? Motion.
Make a motion to approve the pay study.
Motion by Commissioner Satterfield. Second by Commissioner Gaines. Discussion.
The funding is coming from you, I think you said last time, contingency. June.
Right.
And they're going to start, and we anticipate a 90-day process, is that right? Okay.
And when is the start? Since- Have you got
I think
tomorrow?
As soon as they get notice of the award.
Other discussion? Hearing none, please vote. And that's approved 4-0. Next up, we have consideration of settlement agreement with ALA Riley Place LLC with respect to a stop work order issued on June 3rd, 2019 for the Riley Place subdivision. Council.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As indicated, the county issued a stop work order for development in the Riley Place subdivision a few weeks ago related to concerns about development in accordance with existing stipulations that were imposed both in 1999 and 2018 for the subdivision. In the course of that, the developer and the county engaged in discussions about the proper interpretation of the existing stipulations. Through the course of that, we have reached a tentative agreement on what the county could do in order to lift that stop work order. It's currently suspended pending approval of this. They have agreed to the terms of the settlement agreement that is before you, and we ask the board to consider that. For your, the agreement has been circulated, but as a reminder, the owner agrees to do a certain percentage of development of their structures and buildings with masonry coverage. They have agreed to certain color limitations on the units that they build. They've agreed to a pool, according to drawings that are attached to the document. The county agrees to release the stop work order upon execution of this agreement, and the county is going to initiate a new or a county-initiated rezoning process, which will clarify to include these stipulations as part of the stipulation for the property according to the zoning procedures requirements. That is done just to formally memorialize that pursuant to the zoning procedures. We do ask that the board consider it and approve it going forward.
Other information needed? Motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Nix,
Second.
second by Commissioner Fawcett. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that's approved 4-0. Next up, we have consideration of appeal by ALA Riley Place LLC of a stop work order issued on June 3rd, 2019 for the Riley Place subdivision. I think this agreement renders that mute. Is the attorney here?
I'm Brad Hutchins, I'm the attorney for ALA. Given the vote that the board just had on the settlement agreement, that we no longer need to go forward with the appeal tonight.
Okay?
So
And
that's,
Mr. Chairman, we do agree with that.
Okay.
thank you.
So we'll just check on past that one. All right, next up, we have presentation of FY 2020 Department of Human Services Deanna Specialty Transportation Grant. Don presented that to you earlier today at the 4 o'clock session. Began on July 1st, so we needed to act on that this evening. That's where we're reimbursed for trips for the seniors in many different categories, from a single trip to a group trip. So that's money back in the pot. Any other information needed? Motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Fawcett, second by Commissioner Gaines. Discussion.
Chairman, I just want to thank Dawn. I mean, she comes to us a lot with grants, and I wish we'd get a lot more, but thank you for everything you do. But it helps out a lot.
Thank
The
you.
people that need the help. I mean, y'all feed a lot and take care of a lot.
Thank you. And I will express my appreciation to Brooke Anderson and the Etowah Water Board for what they did for us this afternoon as well. Thank you.
Thanks.
Other discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that's approved 4-0. Next up under public comment, we have Miss Anna Richardson signed up. Please come on up.
Good afternoon, my name is Anna Richardson. And I'm here because I am concerned about some of the unstable trees that lie around my road in Vanderveer and then in Valley. Those roads have trees that probably would serve the community better if they were removed. We always have a problem up in that area during the winter months, and it requires sometimes it'll disrupt the utilities, the traffic, the communication, and even create safety issues during that time. People work from their homes there, they're entrepreneurs, and so I wanted to talk to you about that. The other thing I want to talk about is the further enforcing the code regarding Article 2 of Establishment of Land Use Districts, Section 8, the accumulation of refuse in that particular area, citing specifically items B and C. We've got one really bad situation over there on Valley Road. There's a parcel out there across the street from 300 Valley, and it has just an enormous amount of garbage that is just laying on the parcel. We have also an old RV and a storage area that is just infested with it. And I called, I think I spoke with you, Mr. Thurman, a couple weeks ago. I spoke to Mr. McKee about it, and I sent Chris Gaines an email regarding it. It's just that it's getting out of control, and I know that I'm a real estate appraiser, and I have several builders that are interested in that area. But once they see those kinds of things going on, the externalities that will affect everybody's property values, that will create a real problem. Eventually, it will trickle down to the county. So I was hoping that you would, consider making some provisions for that. I don't know if you can. I don't know how you can enforce it. One other thing that I want to talk to you about, and I'll be short. There are my area is considered a hotspot for drugs and alcohol, and for, like I was talking about, the way the properties appear. They have a lot of problems in that area. I don't know if maybe having a police officer on Friday or Saturday nights checking out the cars, if there's enough, if there are enough police officers that can do that over there on Vanderveer and Thompson, or 53 and Valley on Friday and Saturday nights. But those cars run through the air like crazy, and I've been picking up, not only myself, but my neighbors and I have been picking up a lot of garbage, a lot of alcohol cans and bottles. I've even picked up some needles in that area. So I'm really concerned about being a hotspot, because it stigmatizes the area. That's a beautiful area. That topography is gorgeous, and you've got lots of people that own acres of land up there, but they don't live here. They just slap a mobile home on there, and they rent that place out. And usually to most of the people, okay, but there are some people that haven't a clue of how to maintain a home, whether it's rented or whether it's purchased. So I'm hoping that you will focus a little bit of your time on that particular area, so we can remove the stigma of all of those problems, all of that economic obsolescence. So anyway, thank you very much.
Do you live on Valley Road?
I live on Vanderveer Road. I live on Vanderveer, and I've been there for 5 years, and I've come Forsyth County.
People throw out a lot of garbage up my way too. It's a problem in the county.
Well, you know, Sheriff Johnson has been very gracious about his detainees, and he's had them come over, several times a year to, clean up the road, and it really does make a difference. It makes a difference with the way people feel about their homes, and, there's a lot of beautiful homes on that area. They're off the street, they're gated, but, that is a future, that's a great place for future consideration by builders and developers. So, anyway, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, well, that is all that we have this evening. Thank you for your attendance. We are adjourned.